For 5 years, I paid the bills while he chased his dreams. The day he got his $3 million inheritance, he served me divorce papers. He never knew his grandfather's will had one final line. A line that would turn his victory into my revenge. You know. They say that behind every great man, there's a great woman. Small, tired laugh. Well, for 5 years, I wasn't just behind Julian. I was the entire foundation. I was the one holding everything together while he was busy building castles in the sky. My name is Sasha, and our life in that little apartment in Detroit, it was like a stage for all of his dreams that never quite opened. There was the app that was gonna change the world, the clothing line that never got past a logo, the podcast studio in the spare room that just gathered dust, and my paychecks, they never went towards a vacation or a down payment on a house. They were just fuel for his next big thing, and with every idea that fizzled out, a little piece of the man I fell in love with fizzled out too. The guy who used to bring me coffee in bed started leaving little notes. You could be more ambitious, Sasha, he told me. My life was mundane. Voice cracked slightly, and you know what? He was right. I was mundane. I was the one on the phone with the landlord, my stomach in knots, asking for one more week. I was the one lying awake at 2 a.m. doing the math in my head, trying to figure out how to cover his half of the rent again. Then his grandfather died. Old Mr. Harrington from that big, quiet house in Grosse Pointe. And Julian, he didn't cry. He didn't even seem sad. He got this look in his eyes, like he'd just won the lottery. He actually said to me, he said, the old man finally kicked it. I felt a chill go right through me. The will, Sasha, he said. And I could see it. I could see the dollar signs right there in his eyes. This is it. Generational wealth. He went to that lawyer's office. And when he came back, he was a different person. It was like he'd already moved into a penthouse in his mind, and I was still down here, in the dirt. Suddenly, every sentence started with my money, my future. He went out and bought a Rolex with the last of our savings. Called it a down payment on the new me, not us, me. A week later, I came home, and my whole world just stopped. There was a single envelope on the kitchen table. And Julian, he was leaning against the counter, with this smirk on his face. It's over, Sasha, he said it so coldly. It felt like a physical blow. You're part of a life I'm done with. I packed your things. I need you to leave tonight. I couldn't breathe. Julian, my voice was barely a whisper. After everything, I supported you. I believed in you when no one else did. And he just looked right through me, empty, and he said, your belief was a cage. He pointed to the papers. Sign them. There's nothing here for you. He'd packed my entire life into 3 suitcases. And as I struggled to drag them to the door, my arms shaking, he didn't lift a finger. He just watched me. And as I stepped out into that hallway, he gave me one last, cruel jab. Don't worry, he sneered. I'm sure you'll find some other lost cause to fix. One that might actually be grateful. The door slammed. Pause, deep breath, and I just stood there. In that empty, echoing hallway, completely, utterly broken. I moved in with my sister. I felt numb, hollowed out. Like he'd used up every last bit of me and then just threw the shell away. Then, a week later, my phone rings. A number from Grosse Pointe. Miss Sasha Mitchell? It was an older man's voice, very calm, very proper. Yes? This is she. My name is Arthur Pendleton. I was the late Mr. Harrington's attorney. There is a matter concerning the will that requires your immediate attention. My heart started pounding so hard I thought I'd drop the phone. The will? But, Julian, precisely because of Mr. Harrington's recent actions, he said, and I could hear the weight in his words. Can you be in my office tomorrow at 10 a.m.? Walking into that office, it was like stepping into another world. All dark wood and silence. And Julian was there, pacing like a caged animal. He shot me a look of pure poison. His great aunt Eleanor was there too, the one who always gave me a secret, kind smile at family dinners. She just looked at me and gave a small, firm nod, like she knew. Pendleton didn't waste any time. Ms. Mitchell, he said, opening this huge, leather-bound document. The late Mr. Harrington was a man of immense foresight. He held significant reservations about his grandson's character. Consequently, he included a final provision. He put on his glasses, and he read the words that would change my life forever. To my grandson Julian, I bequeath the entirety of my estate, on one condition, that he remains in a faithful and legal marriage to his wife, Sasha Mitchell, for a period of no less than 3 years from the date of my death. Should he initiate divorce proceedings before this term, my entire estate shall transfer irrevocably to Sasha. My grandson has proven he values wealth over integrity. This is his final test. Julian let out this guttural sound. And no, you can't do this. That's not legal. It is entirely legal, Mr. Harrington, Mr. Pendleton said, his voice like iron. And as you filed for divorce just 8 days after his passing, you have failed. The estate, valued at $3.4 million, is now the sole property of Ms. Mitchell. I swear. The floor fell out from under me. $3.4 million, Julian. He just collapsed into a chair. Then he scrambled over to me, fell to his knees on the floor, and grabbed onto my skirt. Sasha, please, he was sobbing. Real tears this time. I was insane. I didn't know. We can fix this. We can stop the divorce. I love you. I've always loved you. It was the stress, the pressure. I looked down at him. This man who called me mundane, who packed my bags, who smirked as he ended us. And I felt nothing, just a calm, clear, cold certainty. I stood up, and his hands fell away from me. You had your chance, Julian, I said, and my voice was quiet. But it didn't shake. Not anymore. You had 5 years of my love, my loyalty, everything I had, and you threw me away for money. And now, the money is mine. That's the poetic justice your grandfather planned for you. I turned to Mr. Pendleton, my back to the man crying on the floor. So, I said, taking the deepest breath of my life, what are the next steps? The months that followed were a whirlwind, but a beautiful one. I left my sister's couch and moved into the Harrington Lake house, the one Julian had always talked about, like it was his birthright. I quit my job. For the first time in my adult life, I could just breathe. I traveled. I saw places I'd only ever dreamed of, but the best thing, the thing that made it all feel real, was starting the Anchor Foundation, using some of that money to help other women who felt as lost and broken as I did find their footing again. About 6 months later, I was at a charity gala, in a dress that probably cost more than my old monthly rent. And I saw him, Julian he was, working the coat check. He was thinner, wearing a cheap uniform. All that arrogance, that pride, was gone, just hollow. Our eyes met across the crowded room, and I didn't feel hate. I didn't feel joy. I just felt nothing. He was a stranger. I gave him a small, polite nod, the kind you give the person who takes your coat. And I turned back to my friends. That inheritance, it was never really about the money. It was about my value. Old Mr. Harrington, he didn't just give me a fortune. He gave me back my power. He saw what his own grandson was too blind to see, that my steadfast, mundane love was the most valuable thing in the room all along.